everyone, and welcome to Sorta My Podcast. My name is Vincent Herman, Vin the Human, and sitting to my left,
James Odle, Alphaspecter.
right across the table from him,
Travis Herman, Dr. T. Neal.
guys, you can go ahead and like Sorta My Brand or our nerd news page, Sorta My Comics on Facebook right now if you're so inclined. Follow Sorta My Podcast on Instagram or Twitter. You can also subscribe to the Sorta My Brand page on YouTube. We're always uploading new stuff there, and original programming is coming back eventually. You're listening to this somewhere, whether it's SoundCloud or iTunes. While you're there, why not rate, review, and comment? If you hear anything in this podcast that you want to respond to, comment on, maybe we eventually add a segment where we read your comments or answer your questions. Whatever.
If you would comment.
If you would comment. I'm looking at all three of you.
This is where we put our comment reading section. If we had one.
If we had one. And you can also find all of our personal social media shit down below. So, all right, guys. Okay, this is a weird week for me as a comic book fan because I was suspended from work. We're not going to get into all that, but this led to me not getting a paycheck for 1 week, and so I couldn't buy comics. I didn't know what to do. I brought cereal boxes to work. It just wasn't
Reading the back of the cereal.
I started like leaning over people's shoulder, reading their paperwork. Oh man, that's a great issue.
I've offered you so many things to read.
You don't have any comics. They're all wet now.
Actually, no. It's not as bad.
Yeah. We'll get back to that because there was one thing that happened this week, and it kind of plays into this whole couldn't afford comics, so it's probably going to be a while before I can afford this. But I found out on Fat Man on Batman that they're releasing an extended cut of Superman the movie. Yeah. Okay, so apparently in 1982, a few years after the movie had released in theaters, they wanted to put it on TV, but it was too long for one night, so they wanted to cut it up and air it 2 nights in a row. First part and second part. But it wasn't long enough to do that with. So they added 40 extra minutes to the movie. They went to Warner Brothers.
Another half of the movie.
They could have heavily cut the shit down and just fucked up the movie and then threw it out on one night. But they went to Warner Brothers. They're like, hey, do you have anything for us to pad it out? And there are scenes with Superman running this whole gauntlet in Lex Luthor's lair. There are all these extra Smallville scenes. There are all these extra Lex Luthor scenes. There's a ton of Marlon Brando stuff that was cut out. So, yeah, it's apparently the one to see, and I've never heard of it before.
Superman Cream Dream.
You have no idea how excited I got. Dude, I was in my car, driving to work, and I was like, fuck yes! Oh, God, I can't wait to see this. It's getting released on Blu-ray. I can't remember exactly what day. October 3rd. October 3rd. And yeah, I'm not going to be able to get it right away. But it's less than $20. And it comes with the Richard Donner director's cut of the movie as well. And I love this type of stuff. That's why I've got these discs. Travis, you were asking me about these earlier. I have the 4-disc special edition of Superman the movie that has the original 1978 theatrical movie and the 2000 expanded edition. I've got the Blade Runner 4-disc collector's edition, which has I think 3 or 4 different versions of the movie.
Oh man!
And my Godzilla collection has the original Japanese and this. I'm always on the lookout for this stuff.
Thank you. Superman's on the not so special side now, though.
Where'd you get that Godzilla? Man?
I got that Godzilla at Walmart.
I like it.
Yeah, that's a great little case. But anyways, yeah, I eat the shit up. And if anything, it's more of an awesome movie.
Oh yeah.
You look back on the effects are a little cheesy, but you gotta understand it was 1977 or
if you don't take into consideration times when all these older movies were made, what they had to work with, people comparing the new Star Wars to the original trilogy, it's it looks so close. Yeah, it was the fucking 70s.
Right. So I got really excited about that. I cannot wait till that comes out. So you've had some comics turmoil yourself.
Yeah. I the other day but I was getting ready to leave for work, and I'm like, it's going to be a slow day. Let me walk in, grab a couple comics, grab a trade or something, take to work with me. I had my own comic room at our apartment. Well, and one of mine and Vin's cleaning endeavors in that room, we had sorted a bunch of comics and made piles on. I have a little table. I have a plastic drawer set, another little table. Well, this plastic drawer set that had mostly Nightwing stacks on it was underneath my air conditioner unit. Like, it's one of those big 220 wall units. It started leaking inside, and I didn't know it. And it leaked all over a bunch of these comics. Like, one comic that's just fucked is the Harley Quinn Free Comic Book Day one from last year or the year before. Some others, like some of my Nightwing ones that weren't bagged and boarded are...
Oh, man.
Yeah, like there were some in these stacks that didn't have bags and boards. The ones that had bags and boards were mostly okay. There were a few that still got moisture inside because they were on like the bottom of the stack.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought it was going to be a bigger loss than it was. And going through them, it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought. But I still was worried all day at work. I'm like, God, how many comics did I lose? How much of this run?
Yeah, and I was even...
This was a large portion of my Nightwing run.
I was trying to silver line it for you. I was like, but the ultimate point of having them is like reading them, and they'll still be legible when they dry out, so you'll still be able to read them.
And I could get a couple of boards and press the comics between them to flatten them back out real good. Whatever, but, it was kind of disheartening, so I pulled the drawer set away from the wall so that it can't get dripped on anymore, moved the comics off of it, and now Vin and I have a plan to overhaul this room over the next couple of weekends.
I've got a 4-phase plan. Everything's in phases these days. Actually, Travis, you've had kind of the opposite experience with comics recently, because you just started your first pull.
No, I think I actually did start one that I never came back to.
Oh, wait, the one at Dungeon?
I think it's Dungeon was with Evil Dead 2, but I recently went and started Ash vs. Army of Darkness.
Yeah, the new series. It's Dynamite, right?
Yeah, I had no idea. I didn't even get to read any of Evil Dead 2 except Evil Dead 2: Revenge of Hitler, and I got that one. I'm gonna have to read it. Haven't read it
I think
still.
I bought that one for you. I was like, I can't not.
So,
let this
where are you
go.
pulling your comic books at?
What's the name?
It's the Inner Geek.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I don't go there.
I dragged him up to Ashland.
But yeah.
So that's a good choice.
You'll be there at least once a month.
Yeah, the Inner Geek was pretty good, man.
Well, we're going to hear more about those books here in a little bit, because you're going to be talking about them and stuff. But guys, we got a beefy episode for you. We're already 10 minutes in. Our moment of banter was beefy. I was going to talk about Star Trek Discovery and the Orville, because I went ahead and watched those. Actually, I haven't seen episode 4 of the Orville yet.
I haven't.
Is that the one with Seth MacFarlane?
Yeah, that's the... It's well, we don't have time.
My Hulu account was gone.
Really?
Like, I couldn't recover it at all.
Huh.
I had to start a new one.
That's
but
weird.
it was cheaper to start a new one than to keep my old one going.
Well, all right. Well, we've got so much show to get to here. And, of course, the first thing we always like to talk about is the source material for our fandom. We wouldn't have these epic Marvel movies and all these TV shows and shit if it wasn't for comic books. Odle, I think you took us out last time, right?
It was either me or you, because it was just me and
Yeah.
Wasn't me.
I think I'm going to go ahead and start us off this time. Guys, there were a variety of different things. One issue in particular I was going to talk about on here, but I think I'm going to save it maybe for November. I'm not real sure. Maybe I'll save it for the anniversary of the character, but I read a very important book recently, and I'm not going to tell you about it right now. What I am going to tell you about is Amazing Spider-Man number 32 and Batman the Red Death, a tie-in to the Dark Knight's Metal that is happening right now. Both of these very reminiscent of properties from each individual company that they no longer produce books for. And I'll get into why and what in a moment. Well, let's start with Spider-Man first. This is a story focused around Norman Osborn, actually, and it is titled Personal Demon. In the story, Norman's trying to find a way to reactivate the Goblin Serum in his system that's being blocked by nanites that Spider-Man had injected him with. And this journey actually takes him to the Temple with No Name, which, if you're comic savvy enough, you'll know from the Doctor Strange comics. So he goes to the Temple with No Name to learn the mystic arts, and eventually, after successfully training, showing much promise and learning everything that he would need to know, his totem spirit animal appears to him in the form of a Bengal tiger. So the monks tell him that he's finally ready. The masters tell him he's finally ready. It's time to go embrace your totem, and he denies it. He refuses to accept it as his totem, and instead pulls a goblin mask from the wall and embraces that instead. Then, using the mystic arts, he summons Spider-Man, and the two have a knockdown, drag-out fight, mostly with Norman Osborn coming out on top. And then we find out that this was all just a vision of his test with the Emerald Oracle of Ikon. So none of this, all the stuff leading up to him getting to the temple, because they test you when you get to the temple to see if you're worthy. And that all happened. But everything afterwards was kind of a what if. So we got kind of an impromptu what if issue here. Now it does have a little bit of a cliffhanger ending that I'm sure will come up in later issues or something. But yeah, it was really interesting in the way you get to see, not a Sorcerer Supreme per se, but a sorcerer version of the Green Goblin fighting Spider-Man. What if Green Goblin trained with,
what if Green Goblin became the Sorcerer Supreme?
The Masters of the Temple with No Name. So yeah, I thought that was a really cool little issue there, and it's kind of just a filler issue. I think this is the issue in between the last arc and the new arc that's coming up with the renumbering.
Yeah.
So
makes sense
for a filler issue. Pretty cool.
Why can't they just call it a what if? Why can't they bring back what ifs?
Right.
Those are awesome. Didn't they do the most recent one I could think of? It's probably a little older than what I'm thinking, but what if Venom had possessed their Deadpool?
Yeah, that's fairly old. That's like early to mid 2000s.
Yeah, the most recent one I had read were all surrounded around the Infinity Gauntlet. There were like 4, 5, maybe 6 issues or something. I think I have like 2 or 3 of them, and it was called What If Infinity, and then like each one highlighted a different situation that was happening during the Infinity Gauntlet.
They're still awesome, man.
There was even just before that, there was a What If Age of Ultron series, so many issues.
I remember that.
Shit. But yeah, I don't know why they don't just bring it back.
Well, I think there were What If Secret
issue.
Invasion issues too.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
probably.
So I mean, it's not been that long. I mean, it's been probably close to a decade.
Yeah.
But just bring it back.
I refuse to accept that there's not material for it. I mean, there's that one meme that goes around. What if Charles Xavier became the Ghost Rider? And it's just a joke, but fuck, do I want to read that issue? All right, anyways, like I said, we've got so much show to get to. The next part of that show is me talking about Batman: The Red Death. Guys, this is such a cool issue. We open to a little narration from the Batman who laughs, and immediately get into Barry Allen running and pleading with a Batman who is wielding all of the weapons of the rogues, like Mirror Master's weapons, Golden Gliders, Leonard Snart, all of it's there. And he's pleading with him to like stop this. We need to focus on what's happening in the world, which doesn't get explained in this issue. I'm hoping it'll like come full circle somewhere. But anyways, Batman is trying to harness the Speed Force. He wants the Speed Force for himself because at some point, again, something not explained yet, hopefully will be, he has lost his entire family. Like, we're talking Dick, Jason, Damian, they're all dead.
Damn.
Somehow or another,
what the fuck?
He failed to keep them safe. So now he wants the Speed Force, and Barry's telling him, no, your plans for the Speed Force lead you down a dark path. You can't rewrite history. You can't turn back the clock, is the exact quote right here in that panel. He ends up getting the upper hand on Batman, but then turns out, it's Batman. So he's like, your compassion is your greatest weakness, and then he knocks out Barry Allen. Only to have him wake up strapped to a Batmobile that has harnessed, that has been outfitted with the powers of the cosmic treadmill. So we've got
just gonna drive it into the Speed Force.
So Batman has chained Barry Allen to this cosmic treadmill Batmobile.
But they're on a road where they're going.
They don't need roads. Wow. Oh man, and I just noticed the little engine in the middle is reminiscent of the '89 Batmobile. Anyways, not important. But so he's using this to harness the powers of the Speed Force, eventually causing them to disintegrate. And it doesn't give us like so many months later or whatever, but we can see that Gotham City is being overrun by what look like the mutants from the Dark Knight. Scarecrow's running around and almost kills his family when out of nowhere, Batman the Red Death, the Speed Force version of Batman, rips him in half. Comes out of nowhere, rips Scarecrow in half.
Okay, that is a bitch of bat symbol.
Oh my god, it's so cool. And this whole one page thing says, "My name is Bruce Wayne," and then you see a little like faded red box that says, "No, Bruce, I am vengeance. Stop. I am justice. Don't. I am Batman the Red Death. Please." Yeah. So now we have this dual identity version of a speedster Batman. So cool. Definitely not afraid to kill a motherfucker. And here's the best thing. Instead of lightning, like the Speed Force energy streaks that the other ones have, it's bats.
Oh my god, yes.
It's bats, black bats with red outlines. So fucking cool. Right. And we can also see that not only is it internally dual identity, but externally too, because at one point his face like starts forming to Barry Allen. Barry Allen's trying to talk, and then it goes back to Bruce. He realizes though that he's too late, and that the world is gonna be torn apart. It's ending. He can't save it. When the Batman Who Laughs offers him another chance of redemption to join him in the new multiverse, a multiverse that isn't set to be doomed, because apparently all of these dark multiverse worlds are doomed. Like they're all going to be destroyed no matter what. And we pick up with Central City, where Batman the Red Death makes his appearance in front of Iris West and Wally West, and you'll have to read the rest of the issue to find out what happens next. His little run-in with fate. And that's all I'm going to give you on that one. Yeah. This was a really cool first side issue. There are so many more of these that are coming out. Batman the Murder Machine, the Batman Who Laughs. Like, I think there are like maybe 6 in total, maybe more. But awesome. Awesome lead-in.
Now, when Dark Knights comes out, I'm really hoping, or like when they put out the collected version of this, I hope that they include all these like one-off tie-ins, not like the side stories in like
I'm sure there'll be
others, but I hope these get included in like a nice fat collected edition.
Yeah, I'm sure eventually there'll be like an entirety like thing, a definitive edition or something. But this was but the thing that stood out to me about this, that is another property that they don't use in DC anymore, really. Elsworlds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of Elsworlds, except for how the end like immediately ties into the actual main universe continuity. But like all that other stuff before that happens, before the end of the book, is just a Batman with the Speed Force who's evil on a different universe. That's Elseworlds quality right there. So great books. I can't suggest them enough, especially any Dark Knight's Metal book so far. So Trav, why don't you go ahead and head us up next?
I think I talked about the Army of Darkness ones earlier, right?
Yeah. Well, we offhandedly mentioned them.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact titles. I don't think they have separate titles. Just Ash versus Army of Darkness.
1, 2, and 3.
I'm assuming I may have to read a couple other issues that lead up to this. As soon as the comic book starts, Ashley Williams is a teacher at a high school.
Whoa.
Yeah, he has his metal hand, which is so it's after the movie Army of Darkness. So he has the metal hand from the Renaissance. So he's yeah, that's all it gives you at first. He's a teacher. Eventually, he's teaching a history class because he's been throughout history. It's like a little nod, Yeah. But he ends up talking to, I think, like a supervisor or a superintendent, and then that's when you find out why he's there. He's supposed to be there for possible like evil outbreak happening, and so he's being straightforward with all the kids, like, who read for the Necronomicon? And he's not like being, not trying to be sly about it at all.
Classic, like, he just, like, drops it.
Yeah, who the fuck did it?
Right, yeah, he's like, best way to, fight this thing is head on, so. And at the same time, while he's at this high school, trying to figure out if there's a Necronomicon there, what's happening. You see these, like, a couple panels of people in, like, a military room, and they're like, TPO is there, and it's the promised one. He's the promised one from the Necronomicon. Then it goes, in between, going back between Ash's story, you'll see these people in this military room talking about TPO and everything. It goes back to Ash at the high school, and out of the science lab, a ton of frogs, from dissecting, come jumping out, and he knocks all them off him or whatever. But a freaking giant frog comes out and has a huge tongue and whips him up and tries to eat one of the kids from his classroom.
It's like a Deadite type frog.
Yeah, it's possessed by the Necronomicon. Yeah. It can do a lot of different things. Mainly, he can take possession of in the show. It takes over his car. His car becomes
that's right. Yep.
Really cool kind of Deadite, I guess. But yeah, he gets attacked by a giant frog. He slays that, and it's like overnight. It's almost daytime, like while they're there fighting that frog, and all these kids are going to be coming to school here in like 1 hour. So the military team ends up crashing in the school building. They're like, we know what's been going on. We've been tracking it, and apparently this military team is called SMART, S-M-A-R-T, like S-MART.
Yeah.
And it's a military team called SMART, and it tracks all the way back to where he went to the Renaissance in Army of Darkness.
Oh, my God.
And they've been training people to fight like Ash
with the whole,
from the 1400s.
With the whole, jab,
the scene,
kick. Yeah, and they do that, and then it's so fucking useless. All the other shit is useless. Yeah. Except for the last move.
And it shows in a bunch of panels how they're progressing over the decades and everything, and there's the 1400s of them, it's kind of like Renaissance or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it moves closer to Civil War times. They're coming out of helicopters and stuff with chainsaws and all kinds of stuff.
You mean World War? Because they wouldn't have had that shit during the Civil War.
Well, I mean,
during Captain America Civil War times.
It covers a lot of I can't remember what the other eras were, but it shows a bunch of them, and they've been trying to find the promised one ever since hundreds.
Yeah.
And now they finally found him out of high school. And that's about where I left off.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty rad. I don't know if there's any material before that really to read. Not so far that would be necessary, other than watching the movies.
A lot of the, I think there was a span there where like each time they made a new book, like Ash versus Xena or Army of Darkness, like Christmas.
It comes
special.
comes straight out of Army of Darkness.
Yeah, but they were going in like sequence and stuff. But there have been so many different Evil Dead and Ash titles that are just like kind of their own thing. Like they use the movies as a basis, as a jumping off point, but they rarely ever really cross over, it seems.
Yeah, same with the video games. I've seen a couple of them mention other ones. Like at one point in the regular Army of Darkness comics, Ash disappears at the end of one of the comics, but that's because it becomes Army of Darkness versus Marvel Zombies. And then, and the next issue of Army of Darkness, and the next issue of Army of Darkness, he comes out of a world, and we know if you've read Army of Darkness.
My God, is that where they got it from with that Flash Supergirl crossover? Because in the episode of the Flash, he like is testing out new speeds, and he disappears in a little flash of blue. It comes out of a little flash of blue, and he makes like a little blurb about it, but you don't really know where the hell he went.
And then there's this whole story.
Turns out, like a month later, like they air the Supergirl crossover episode which was a Supergirl episode, and that's when we find out where he went. Dude, that whole time, it's exactly the same thing. Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, you love it when that stuff's got to tie around. I bet people who were reading like Army of Darkness, you're like, oh, where the hell did he go? And then they, see Marvel Zombies on the shelf with Ash on the cover, and
fuck, they did the same thing in fucking Harley Quinn. Because Harley Quinn and Power Girl end up getting sucked into this portal when they come out. Like Harley Quinn or Power Girl's in a wedding dress, and Harley Quinn's got this like weird thing going on, and like. They make a reference to it, and then they just get back to what they're doing. And then they released a series called Power Girl Harley Quinn, where they show what happened in between that time. Anyways, all right. So we're getting a little sidetracked here.
I got one more book, and it's a one-shot, basically. Other than it's a one-shot called Spider-Man and Batman, and then the second one is called Batman and Spider-Man. So I guess, that sets them apart, but they reference it in the second one. But the first one, Spider-Man and Batman, it was released by Marvel Comics and DC Comics working together on this. It starts off with Peter Parker having a dream about Ben getting shot. And when in his dream, he's Spider-Man. He goes and he's chasing the killer. And when he finally catches the perp, it shows like a little close-up of his mouth. And he's white skinned and he's got a big smile. And then it goes to Bruce Wayne having a dream. He's having the same kind of dream about his parents getting shot in the alley. I guess he's Batman off to the side seeing his parents get shot while he can also see himself as a kid or whatever. But he chases the perp as Batman.
Well, that works on a certain level because Batman kind of has a little bit of a duality personality. He mostly sees himself as Batman. Like, he's not necessarily Bruce Wayne. Like, he's not, like, delusional. Like, he knows he's Bruce Wayne, but he's like...
got a grip on it.
If he is anything, he is Batman. And so, I think that's why so many times when you see him during these flashbacks and stuff, he is Batman off to the side looking at Bruce Wayne's tragedy. Because that's what created Batman.
Concept there. I didn't think about that. That's actually the first time I thought about it. Is you could see little Bruce Wayne and him off to the side. Bruce is having the same kind of dream, and he chases down the guy who shot his parents, and he catches up to him, and it shows like a couple closer images of the guy's face, and his teeth turn red, and then they get real big and black and red. Then he wakes up, just like Peter Parker woke up as soon as they catch the perp, and they both, after waking up, they just go out on a night of like. They're like, I gotta get this out of my system. I gotta go patrol,
Yeah.
You gotta do something right now. So it turns out when Peter Parker left after having that dream, he went to a lab in Gotham. I think it's Ravencroft Institute is where they're at. That's what it's called.
Okay. I think that's a Spider-Man thing.
And her name is Ashley Kafka is the scientist he's working with. And they have, what's his name, Cletus Cassidy?
Yeah.
He's all restrained in this, orb, kind of like, cell. It's got him jailed in there. And they've got him contained. But this other woman walks in and says she can cure him. She can cure his insanity and all that. And at the same time, Cletus Cassidy busts straight out of the glass and he becomes Carnage, full blown. He's like, I was just letting you guys contain me. So Spider-Man has to, lay the beat down, and they shoot him with some special guns that they have to take him down.
Special Carnage guns.
Yeah, some Carnage guns. No, actually called microwave guns.
Oh yeah.
So he's sedated again, and they're gonna perform the procedure to cure his insanity. And he's down. Everybody's down it. Then it cuts to Batman. He's chasing the Joker in Gotham, and eventually he catches Joker, and he gets sent to Arkham Asylum. And that scientist shows up there too. She's like, I can cure his insanity, and so she starts leading this campaign with the Joker and Cletus Cassidy together, tamed. Like, she cured them both. And she's, like, having press conferences in front of people and everything. So then, after one of the press conferences, they get in the car, and Cletus Cassidy goes full Carnage right out of nowhere after he's been tamed for, like, weeks almost, I guess. Like, before they had the press conference. And Joker, he's really cured. He's actually cured. But Carnage captures Joker and takes off with him. And I guess his idea is to work together. He's wanted to work together with the Joker for a long time, and so they start talking. And Carnage puts like a little bit of symbiote into his nose, and it goes into like the chip that cured him, and he blows it up, and so Joker's normal again. And as soon as he starts acting sane again, they don't get along. I guess starts acting insane. I just realized I said that. Gets a little confused. But as soon as Joker starts being his regular old self again, him and Carnage don't get along at all. The Joker is all about the show of it, and Carnage is about like killing as many people as possible. Is like basically how he's saying it. He's like, why don't we just take out this entire world as soon as we want? And Joker's like, there's more theater to it. So, they end up getting into a big fight. You end up seeing, how's it go? You end up seeing Batman and Spider-Man, like, on a rooftop, and they agree to start working together. And they end up at where the Joker and Carnage are at. Because they heard about the press conference and all that. And Joker and Carnage are fighting at the same time as Batman and Spider-Man get there. And they all end up fighting each other, Well, no, I guess Batman starts fighting Carnage, and Spider-Man starts fighting Joker, and it seems like their traits and abilities are like what's perfect to take them down in these moments for some reason. Like Spider-Man gets Joker easily, and Batman predicts Carnage easily for some reason. And I think it has to do with the dreams that they're having at the beginning. Like they know this guy, like they've thought of him for years. Because they were both seeing, in Peter Parker's dream, he was seeing the Joker as the one who shot Uncle Ben. And Batman saw, Cletus Cassidy as the one who shot his family. There's not really a surprise ending to it all, I'd say. I won't tell the rest of it, really, but at one point when they go Batman and Spider-Man go their separate ways, they don't talk. It's a big awkward moment, and all they do is end up shaking hands and leaving.
Yeah. I think the thing I love the most about this is that it doesn't treat it like it's like two universes colliding. It's kind of another Elseworlds situation. Like
it's like they're in the same town.
Yeah, it just so happens that this is a universe where Batman and Spider-Man both coexist.
It's an Elseworld meets What If.
Yes. Oh my God.
How cool would that be?
The fuck.
Like
Come on, guys. Yeah. All right. Well, that's a good book. I can't wait to talk about the second one because you're ready to go on that.
The first one's called what is it? Disordered Minds, and the second one you're gonna see some Fisk and Ra's al Ghul.
No, nice, nice. All right, Odle. Let's see what you got.
Continuing with my whole something old, something new. I unfortunately don't have anything borrowed that I've read up until now.
I got a ton of shit.
Like, dude, I have like 7 different graphic novels that I've borrowed from Bob to try to get through right now. Yeah. Kingdom Come is next on my borrowed list.
Oh yeah, get to that.
I actually have that one. I've never read it.
Oh yeah, get to that one.
That's gonna be
finish reading Watchmen
for next time.
Finish reading Watchmen, Trav, and then go on to Kingdom Come.
I'm about to hit it up.
So my something old. It's okay. It's not that old. It's like I'd say early 90s. Well, no, late 90s, 97.
Oh yeah.
So it's called Flash Plus, and as far as I can tell, this was the only Flash Plus that was made. So,
yeah, no, they did a bunch of. They had like a Robin Plus, which had Impulse in it. That's the only one I've ever seen, but I know there are more out there.
But it's Flash plus Nightwing, and there's a story behind me getting this comic or searching for it. I saw a meme of all things where Nightwing once beat the Flash out of a maze. Yeah. And I'm like, I've got to find this fucking comic. Like, I have to find this. And I finally found it in a dollar bin, and it made my fucking day. And I've had it for about a year now, and I finally got around to reading it. It's actually a lot of fun. So it's Wally West Flash, not Barry Allen.
Is Barry's dead at this time?
I believe so. Yeah. So Wally, it's Ginger Wally, is the Flash.
Yeah, the original Wally West.
Yeah. So every year, Wally and Dick go on a vacation. Wally, when it's his turn to decide where to go, he never does. So Dick makes plans and makes the vacation happen and all that. Plans everything out. You know, Batman's it, basically. So, basically, their vacation this year is to go to New Orleans to see the doorway to Nightmare. Now, what this is, like what this whole place is, it's... Okay, you guys have heard the story about the house that when the guy was alive, he just kept building onto him. So
you're talking about
it's supposed to be like the haunted
house. It wasn't the
house.
guy, it was the wife.
Yeah, the wife.
The
Winchester.
Yeah.
You know, she just kept building onto there's stairways that lead to nowhere. Doors you open, it's just a wall. It's basically that house in this comic. So they get to this place and an alarm starts going off and they find these weirdly dressed chicks trying to get out of a labyrinth, which is like the courtyard to this house. Or not so much courtyard, but like it's part of this house's property. There's a fountain spitting blood and they go to figure that out. Dick checks out the fountain, goes to like sniff the water. He's like, doesn't smell like blood. What's it taste like? And Wally's like, no, don't, what? And it's just clay. It's clay deposits from where the house has been sitting for so long. So, of course, Dick goes to escort the ladies out of the maze. And he's like, follow me. And Wally's like, well, I'll get out of here quicker than you can, and just keeps getting turned around, and it keeps ending up at the fountain that's at the middle. So eventually he just gets sick of getting twists turned around, and he just starts phasing through the walls, making holes in the labyrinth. It's a hedge maze, is what it is.
Right, that's kind of what I imagined for some reason. All
yeah.
Right?
It's actually called the hedge maze of the unknown. But when Wally finally makes it out, Dick is standing outside. He's like, Wally says that he was scouting the place. That's what took him so long. And Dick's like, good idea. Comes in handy next time you get lost in there. So of course, like they're giving each other shit because they've been best friends for years.
Yeah, they're titans.
So they finally go to check out the mansion, and this weird butler dude answers the door. The owner of the mansion recently died, and Wally finds out that that's why Dick chose this location, because it's a murder mystery. And like this guy just gives off the butler guy gives off the creepiest vibes.
Right, it's kind of be
It's like it's such a shame.
Weirdo, not Alfred.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll call him Weirdo, not Alfred.
Like he has a name.
Nope.
I just never committed it to memory.
It's gonna be like a strangers on a train. You don't know who
So,
murdered who.
But like this, we get a 1-page spread of this whole place, and they've just been adding on to it and adding on to
it's
it.
like a clusterfuck of buildings.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And so they're going through.
That's actually what it's called. Welcome to the clusterfuck of buildings. So the town just kind of got out of hand.
It's like, you know what? Let's just add another building over there. But how are we going to connect? Just knock down a wall.
Just put it in sideways. We got room. We got room going like 30 feet up and left.
Build a house.
Where do we put this one? It's an octagon. Just stack them. Just start stacking them.
Nobody's using the fountain anymore.
But so they're going through, they find the doors that lead to nowhere. Then they find a door that leads to somewhere. And then they find the chicks that they helped out of the hedge maze. They got lost in the house this time. Like, and one's a ginger, one's a blonde. And so the blonde must be leading the way. I don't know what's going on with these chicks, but now they're lost in here. So They finally make their way to the big courtyard in the middle of all of these buildings that make this house. And they're baffled by how many buildings, how many doors there really are here. And they notice that there's like a center location. So Wally is starting to escort the chicks around while Bruce does something else. They're finding dead Dick. Whatever. He just read about Batman.
Mini Bruce.
Wow.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Favorite character.
So
this would never happen to me and John McClane.
So Dick has went off and been doing his own research. Wally has found a bunch of doors. One leads to London. One leads to the Pentagon. One leads to the White House. All these doors. Eventually, Wally's like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I need Nightwing to figure this out. So he's like, but how the hell am I going to find him? So he's like, I'll just use the maze trick. Keep one hand along the wall. And he just keeps walking. Nightwing's in a library of all places, which is the most out of place thing to them. And of course, Wally finds him, and he's like, "How'd you find me?" He's like, "Use your trick. I can learn something." So Wally's explaining to him this. He thinks it's alien, like an alien invasion coming, because what else would make sense to have all these doors to all these different places? Dick has found out that the schematics make a pentagram and all this and that. So they make their way to the roof, but first Wally convinces Dick that something's not right by putting him on top of the Daily Planet. He's like, shit. Okay, fine, aliens. So they get to the roof with the chicks in tow.
They can't get rid of him at this point.
They can't. Like, they feel somewhat responsible.
They don't even seem to have really been a part of the story at all, other than to exist and be there.
Yeah, that's exactly what they are.
Too.
But so they figure out that these big lightning rods on the house are like making the pattern and everything. And the butler is an alien. and shoots the Flash with his alien ray gun, and it almost kills the Flash, but it doesn't.
Classic.
Because, he barely dodges the blast and it almost killed him. But then the ritual begins, and all these aliens start to, pop out of the sky, and they're really fucking weird looking. I've never... I don't know what
it's
these
kind of
are.
like Man-Thing meets Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Very original looking.
So of course, and the only time that Dick actually saw what it looked like was when the lightning struck on the lightning rod right beside them, interrupting the vibrational mirage that these guys are putting out. So of course, Wally is running around trying to take out all the lightning rods, because these lightning rods are where the aliens are able to enter this world at. And then Mom Alien is coming through from the main one. That's been this whole thing. They even make a joke that, he's calling Mom. And but so Dick goes to take out the butler, kicks him off of a roof, and he goes splat. Wally's running around trying to take out all of these lightning rods.
Because he's an alien. It's okay to murder.
Well, yeah.
Murder that fucker.
I mean, why not? Right?
Normally I'd make a speech about how this is wrong, but this time he's an alien.
But he's an alien tentacle monster. There's Asian girls here somewhere. I have to protect them. So, but Wally can't get to all the lightning rods in time, so they just start offing aliens.
Well, we can't figure this shit out, so it looks like it's mass murder.
But, so, they figure out they're not going to be able to stop Mom Alien from coming through. So Wally's like, you know what? I got this. I'll just blow holes in the walls of the house, turn it into Swiss cheese. Because when he phases through walls, it causes an explosion in the wall.
Was that blonde girl mostly naked this whole time? Because
yes.
We've never seen her at that angle at this point.
Almost the entire time. Back here at the beginning. Almost.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's
yeah, pretty much obvious. The entire
Holy shit,
time.
Yeah, how did I miss all that throughout this book?
But... So Wally rushes down these stairs, gets the ladies, takes them outside, and just starts running through walls to collapse the house to stop this ritual from finishing.
I bet they're collapsing the house. Am I right, fellas? Okay, back to the book.
So finally, he succeeds. And I was wrong. Dick didn't kill the butler. He got struck by lightning and melted.
And Dick wasn't Dick the whole time. It was actually Bruce.
No, but he just sits back and watched. He's like, fried squid.
Oh, God.
So it's not such an asshole after all.
But they realize...
an asshole.
Wally realizes that after doing all of this, he gets to a point of the house away from Dick that he's not able to get him and take him to safety. So Dick just jumps off the roof, does a somersault, and over to Wally. Wally catches him by the arm. He's like, the Flying Graysons would be so proud. I know I am. Those were Wally's words. So they collapse the house, and they leave the premises. People are walking away. They're talking about how they had a great time. And Wally's like... Dick says, next year, you make the plans. Well, I was like, don't worry about that, my friend. I will. So, where do you think we ought to go? And it ends.
Okay, this...
Hey, what happened to the chicks? Did they get out safely?
This book seems...
When the building was collapsing?
Very lame and kind of lazy. But, it seems like one of those things that could be a guilty pleasure. Someone
it seems like one of those... It was a very buddy comedy kind of comic that they tried to make.
Yeah, and that I feel like that's where
it's like Shaggy and Scooby.
That's why it comes off lazy and lame. Yeah. So it's but I can see people enjoying it. I don't know. I kind of enjoy the story a little bit. I mean, at least the premise is interesting enough
I mean, it was one of those, like, you know, a place kind of like this actually exists. It's possible that it's not ghosts that it's haunted by, but it's played by aliens.
What the fuck is this?
What
this?
But it was fun in its own rights.
Yeah.
Like, my big thing was reading this to be like, so how do you beat him out of a labyrinth?
Yeah.
And it's like...
Yeah, and I mean, that's interesting enough to get anyone involved in a book.
But,
right there.
you know, I enjoyed it. I laughed. I'm like, that was kind of dumb. But then I laughed again, so it was okay. So that was my something old. My something new. Kind of keeping in tune with last time. Taking a note from Vinny here. I'm going to talk about the same book twice in a row. At least it's not 7, 8, 14 times in a row.
Yeah, but you know what? Okay, alright. You brought this up, and I was gonna respond in the message, but I wanted to save it for the podcast. Okay, at least my Supermanings vary. Okay, like I'm never just like now it's time for Superman 976, and then Superman 977, and Superman 978. No, I'm like, oh, this shit happened in Action Comics. It's a really big deal because it's fucking Parallax Superman. Oh, this shit happened in Superman because it's a really heartwarming story about families coming together. Oh, this shit happened in Justice League because of really cool characters that come back from the future. No, you are going in line. You're like the fucking weekly radio program like this time in Invincible.
Do you want to know what happens when they fight on the surface of the sun or not?
Yeah. Yeah, because we both know I'm not starting this book anytime soon. So.
I found my trade that you can start with.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so if you guys listened to me talk about Invincible last time, you knew that the fight in outer space went to the surface of the sun with Thrag and Mark fighting on the surface of the sun. And that's exactly where we start. There's no lead in. You read the last issue. We're picking up right there.
4 panels of fist fighting on the fucking sun.
No, well, I
mean, like what we open up to.
Yeah. The entire comic
monochromatic for most of it
is on the surface of the sun. Because of how bright it is
on the sun, yeah.
But what's going on here is okay. So everyone has like the communication devices that they have to allow them to like telepathically communicate without actually having telepathy. So they're like going back and forth, being like, "You're doing this for all the wrong reasons. You saw that like my dad's a good leader." You know, we're doing the right thing by expanding the Viltrum Empire. You're using all your kids as cannon fodder. You know, you have nothing to fight for. You have everything to lose and nothing to gain. You know, and whereas Mark is expressing to him like he has everything to fight for, everything to live for. So like going through all of this, like there are sunspots happening, explosions on the surface of the sun. Like they're each trying to get away from the other by flying away. They drag each other down. Like they are just straight up, like that. They graze the surface of the sun, and their back just starts to boil.
And they're naked.
You fight on the surface of the sun. See if your clothes stay intact.
Yeah, well, no, I mean it makes absolute total sense. Just like I'm only just now noticing that they're naked.
Their clothes were not prepared for that fight, yeah. But they were.
But the thing is,
one guy still got his mustache.
Yeah, I haven't figured out why they still have hair.
Whole book starts to fall apart.
But you know, Mark's explaining to him. He's like, the only thing you need to know is you're not allowed to live. And Thrag says, "Oh hell!" As he carries him into the sun, into
the inner layers,
innards of the sun.
Think of the sun as like an ocean of fiery death. They dive into the ocean.
There's a lot of plasma,
and of course, and they come up, and you know they're burnt to hell.
Yeah.
Like, and you can see like this physical deterioration starting to happen to each of them through the intense heat going underneath and everything else. And by going underneath, their comm devices fry. So they can no longer hear each other. So it all becomes a monologue from Mark where he's saying, I wish you could hear me. I wish you could know what I was saying to you. And goes on, he's like, no one's coming for you. No one cares that you're about to die. There is nothing here for you. And Robot sends one of his suits in to cover Mark to give him a brief advantage where he just starts beating...
Robot has suits that can survive on the sun?
Not for long.
Okay.
But, like, he just starts beating the hell out of Thrag. Thrag starts punching pieces off of the suit. There's, like, molten sun liquid splashing everywhere. Like, more sun eruptions. And, like, through the whole thing, you can still see, like, their bodies deteriorating the whole time.
Down to, like,
and at one point, like, they come back up from underneath. And, like, there's no lips. There's, like, little face.
Skin.
There's no nose.
You can now see the, like, tendons and...
Yeah, and they're
ligaments and
still fighting. And Mark is still going on with his internal monologue saying, the Viltrumites have found their place on Earth. The Viltrumites are going to flourish. They're going to grow because of what they've done, not because of what he's done. There's a new way of life for them. They can be happy. And Thrag punches Mark away and tries to fly away. And the one-eyed alien that's been one of Mark's best friends comes to the rescue after Mark delivers one, like, ridiculous blow to Thrag as he goes down into the sun. He's like, I only wish that I could see you come to your end. And so the alien carries him back, which for some reason, I still can't figure out how the alien was completely unharmed going to rescue Mark.
Yeah.
But, like, nothing. And we see, like, an extra crispy Mark laying on a hovering hospital gurney on the space station. And everyone's worried, like, they don't know what's going on. The daughter of Thrag, who called for the surrender of the fight, is in custody. So Alan the alien goes to her, tells them to take off the restraints. He explains to her, like, you ended this conflict, we can come to an understanding of peace because of you. And she's like, but we did all this stuff, how could that ever be a thing? He's like, did your father ever teach you the concept of forgiveness? And that's where it ends.
This seems it seems like a really cool issue. I had one tweak for it, it's that, like, some of the monologuing, like, towards the end where he's like, I wish I could see you come to your death or whatever, I wish I could see your end. Awesome, cool, poignant. The monologuing, like, all this stuff beforehand, right here where you're saying, like, they're starting to deteriorate, I think it would have been cool if they just left it at visuals. Like, I mean, that was one of the more powerful things about the Death of Superman issue, was that so much of it was, there were no words. It was just visuals, and they were fighting, and you could, you saw the story.
No time to think.
Yeah, you saw the story being told through Superman's reactions and how he dealt with, like, this thing that Doomsday did. It was all in actions. And I feel like it would have, like, been much more better for that point. I mean, I haven't read it. So
I love the monochromatic sun, like, and then all you can see is the sun off their skin, and they're melting and fighting. That looks awesome.
Like, so far, this is one of my favorite issues.
Pretty intense, pretty fucking cool.
And it is. And one of the best parts is, like, the internal monologuing that Mark's doing, like, through all that fighting, adds a intense layer of depth, because Mark realizes, like, he's dying here too.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole thing about it.
That's what I'm saying. That's another thing. You can see that in the visuals. Like you can see that in the panels and all that. And the rest of the monologuing and stuff that if you've read up to this point, you can pretty much put all that together for yourself. You can pretty much monologue that shit to yourself while you're reading it. Like, let the visuals do the storytelling is all I was saying with that. I mean, it doesn't take anything away from it.
Right.
But they put the monologuing in. It's just, I don't know. I have that preference. I feel like the artwork can tell a story well enough.
I can. Well,
because the other really thing, cool fucking visuals in this book.
The other thing I think it helps is like the scenes where they become basically unrecognizable.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so that's true.
It kind of helps you keep track.
Basically, like two red skulls just fighting each
witch melting guy.
So it kind of helps you keep track of who's who.
Yeah,
because without that, you're just almost at a loss on some of these panels as to who's punching who's throwing, who's biting, like what's...
And like,
who's got sunburst
off the top of my head, I don't think I could come up with anything that they could do to separate the two, but like maybe even just a different shade. Like, this guy's this shade of orange, this guy's this shade of orange. You know? Like just so different that you can tell the difference, but not so different that it's like why would he be that color underneath? You know?
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. Really cool issue though. Yeah. Okay, so that leads us into the thing that spawns out of all these comics, and that's all this fucking nerd news. There's so much of it out there these days. So many things happening, and we like to take care of that in a segment we call Phone Booth News.
It's time for the news, the Phone Booth News.
That's right, guys. This is where we try to give you the news faster than Deadpool can change his clothes, which gives us 3 minutes, 45 seconds, according to the Deadpool 2 teaser trailer. All right, so Odle is here on the clock. Let me get over to my... Of course I crossed a bunch of shit out. That only makes it way more confusing. All right. Finger on the button and let me know when you go.
And go.
In video game news, you can get your very own special Celebi when you buy Pokemon Gold or Silver from the Nintendo eShop. Now, you can hold on to this code until the new Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon comes out, or burn it up real quick on the current Sun and Moon versions. In comics news, 2 crossovers of interest are coming in December from Marvel and DC. The first, Super Sons of Tomorrow from writer Peter J. Tomasi, is a 4-part story spanning Superman, Super Sons, and Teen Titans, and sees the unknown Batman of Tomorrow come back in time to prevent Superboy from causing millions to die. In Marvel, Venom Incorporated, a 6-part story beginning with Venom Incorporated Alpha, rotating between ASM and Venom, and ending with Venom Incorporated Omega, is kicked off with characters you've likely never heard of and affects names you know and love, while seeming to focus on the Mania symbiote. Also, Neil Adams, blown away by the Batman vs. Elmer Fudd issue, has uploaded a video to YouTube where he reads excerpts in character and with Looney Tunes music. In movie news, Tomb Raider reboot trailer is out. It seems based on the new video game and maybe gives away a little bit too many big moments, but it looks fun. An unknown source close to the production of the Han Solo movie reshoots has seen an actor on set in iconic Darth Vader armor. Also in video or movie news, Blumhouse Productions has announced that Jamie Lee Curtis will reprise her role of Laurie Strode for Universal's upcoming Halloween film coming October 19th, 2018. Not much is known about the film outside of co-writer Danny McBride revealing that the film will continue the story established in the first 2 films. Linda Hamilton will also be reprising her iconic female lead role in the untitled direct sequel to Terminator 2, rewriting the franchise again. Along with Schwarzenegger, James Cameron will be returning, this time as a producer, and Deadpool director Tim Miller will be directing the film. In TV news, the CW is developing a series called Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, based on the Archer horror title of the same title, that drew tonal comparisons from Rosemary's Baby and The Exorcist. It's unknown if this will be part of the Riverdale series. The CW also announced that their 2017 Arrowverse crossover titled Crisis on Earth X will show Arbalantiverse heroes come together for Barry and Iris's wedding and going up against evil doppelgangers from a universe where Nazis won World War II. And they revealed that this with an epic comic cover style poster. And that's it.
302.
Oh fuck yes! Wow! Oh man, I nailed that one too. Not to stroke my own horn there.
Stroking the horn.
I just stroked my own horn there.
Herman horn.
I just took two colloquialisms and mashed them together.
Stroking the horn.
Yes. Anyways, I'm really impressed I got that. I thought it was like 4 some odd minutes in. Wow. Okay, and that was a lot of news in 3 minutes.
Yeah, it was.
Now, when you said Danny McBride directing Halloween, is that what you said?
No, he's co-writing.
Co-writing?
Co-writing.
Is this the Danny McBride I'm thinking of? Like
Yeah. Eastbound and Down.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Should be pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, like, all of this news is like so many of these things I could have picked as a discussionary topic for this episode. Like, of course, we can't do it all. Guys, if you want to check out any of those stories and more, you can see those on the Sort of My Comics page on Facebook. Now, coming out of the phone booth, we emerged changed and more informed. What? Oh my god, are you charging your charger with the charge on your charger?
It worked. Endless loop of energy.
We have yet more TV news. Sci-Fi has ordered a Deadly Class pilot. Now, you've probably heard, I don't know, Bob's talked about it on the podcast, but I know me and you, Alphaspecter, talked about it. And if you're not familiar with Deadly Class, it launched in 2014, and it's set in the late 80s at King's Dominion High School for the Deadly Arts, where the children of the world's worst crime families send their children to be trained as assassins. This pilot is directed by Adam Targan, executive producer of Banshee and Outcast. And the Russo brothers are actually executive producers on this.
That has me fucking stoked.
If you're not familiar, the Russo brothers are the ones responsible for directing Captain America Civil War, and they're directing the upcoming Avengers Infinity War.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're Community. They're the ones behind Community.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's
you
probably
love Community.
That
So,
name, then. That sounds familiar.
So you're gonna like this at least. When I heard. Well, okay, I should say this. Another big note. Co-written by Rick Remender, the writer of the book.
Yeah.
The writer of the book.
And that's the best part about this is that he is involved in writing the show.
Yes.
So,
which I mean, has worked wonders for The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and then
a similar situation.
From what I've heard, Happy on Sci-Fi is doing fairly well.
Yeah. Is Krypton out yet?
I don't think Krypton's out yet.
But this one,
Happy is.
With Happy already out, and I have heard good things about that. They're doing Krypton, which is the show that is based on Krypton before it explodes. Maybe that's the series finale, but like what an anticlimactic series finale, because we kind of already all know. So
you know where this is going.
We know where that one's going. But this will actually be their third comic property that they'll be adapting.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing that I've read is that Sci-Fi is really trying to expand on like their comic-oriented material.
Which is fun. It's not that they haven't had good things in the past. Isn't the 100 on Sci-Fi?
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a pretty popular show.
Skies? What was that?
Yeah.
One?
Yeah. 12
I'm
Monkeys.
not sure.
I watched it.
Some good
it
ones.
was okay, but it wasn't their worst. And it was even so. Sci-fi has a reputation of being pretty fucking terrible with a lot of their original shit.
Yeah.
And so when I saw Sci-Fi, because that was the first thing I knew about this before I started doing my writing for the show, was Sci-Fi. I was like, oh God, really? Sci-Fi? Fuck. But with the Russo brothers, fuck, those guys are geniuses. Like, I mean, they're so fucking good. And being written by Rick Remender, co-written, you put Rick Remender, the guy who writes the fucking book, in a room with any other writer, and he's gonna be like, look, bitch, I kind of know these fucking characters. I invented them. Right? So, it'd be like putting, like, Bill Finger and Bob Kane in there with Scott Snyder. And Scott being like, well, I got this great grandpa. And they're like, just slow the fuck down.
It's like,
he's got to fight a rainbow monster at some point.
But like seriously though, once they get this off the ground, they've been given the grounds to make the pilot.
Yeah.
Remender's involved. We've got the Russo brothers on board. I can't see bad things for this just based on those.
The only bad thing I can see for this is because it is going to be on Sci-Fi. And Sci-Fi, while they don't necessarily stray away from gore so much, because, I mean, it's the science fiction channel. Like, you're going to see graphic shit sometimes. But I do feel like it's going to tone it down so much. Like, a lot.
I can see that. Like, okay, this is the only... Remender series that I've read. There's a couple I haven't, but this is the only one that's like the least graphic.
We're talking about a series. At one point, our main character vomits and diarrheas all over him. Or is it just diarrhea? I don't remember.
It's just diarrhea,
but it's like all over the fucking.
Yeah,
place.
It's everywhere.
Really graphic scene, just shit. And I mean, like. The cursing is a big deal. The drugs are a huge deal. So, like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I guess it all depends on how much censorship Sci-Fi requires in their shows.
Yeah.
You know, having not watched Happy, I know Happy is supposed to be a pretty, like, graphic comic.
Yeah.
So
I've heard that. I've never read it, but...
So, you know, it kind of makes me want to read a few issues, check out, like, the first couple episodes of the show, see how it compares. But it's like, you know, like I said, with Remender and the Russo brothers on board, regardless of what channel it's going up on, like, I feel like it's going to get at least most of the justice it deserves for being a... Because, I mean, like, Sci-Fi is not even your typical cable TV channel. You have to get a package.
No. Well, maybe now, I don't know, but like the last time I had cable, Sci-Fi was the channel.
Like, I know it's part of like the upper channels, which now your basic cable is like 15 channels now. But like,
yeah, I wouldn't know. Like I cord cut forever ago.
Yeah, I don't get cable.
Not that I'm like, oh, I'm above cable. It's just like, fuck it, Netflix.
Right?
Yeah, Netflix and Hulu. I don't care about
but. I don't know. I think it's going to work.
I
want it to work.
I'm going to give it, because, like, it's got so much going for it, but it's also got the Sci-Fi name going against it. I'm going to meet it in the middle and give it my normal 5 episodes. Any show I'm never really sure about, I give it 5 episodes. And I mean, I've been wrong before, because I did that with Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And while it's 10 episodes before the first season gets really interesting at all, and it's a much longer time before I can care about the characters the way that it wants me to right from the first fucking episode, the show does get better and better. And I mean, even this last season was awesome. So I'll give this the normal 5 episodes. If it doesn't grab me, like, I'll give it a season or 2 and see what people are saying about it, and maybe I'll revisit it. But otherwise, I'm kind of lukewarm on the whole thing. I want it to be great because I really have enjoyed this book that you've been handing off to me, and I do want to start on the individual issues again here soon once we finally get your room cleaned up and we find them all. But
we won't go there.
Yeah, But it is worth a watch. I suggest that to anyone listening. Give it a try. Give it a try. Russo brothers recommender. There's enough reason to give the pilot a try. Something else that's coming out much sooner than Deadly Class. Netflix Punisher, and they just had a bitchin' trailer come out over the past couple weeks, like a week and a half ago or so, something like that. Holy crap, this trailer is great. We get characters like Micro. We know with all the spoiler news that comes out for anything anymore, we knew what characters were going to be in it, but now we can see the characters. We're going to see Micro. We're going to see Jigsaw. Yeah, I don't know if you know exactly who he was in the trailer, if you've seen the trailer, but when they're in the Homeland Security, he's the last guy to exit the elevator. He's the guy who sets off the explosion. He's got the goatees, real pretty. He sets off the explosion. He's walking away from it. And he's the guy who gets shot in the face by the Punisher with a shotgun near the end of the trailer. Possibly causing him to become the Jigsaw person we all know.
Vinny's got the whole first season mapped out.
We got it all mapped out. Well, and that's one thing that I'm wondering about this. Like, because Jigsaw is like one of the Punisher's main nemesis.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if like that scene where he gets shot in the face with the fucking shotgun, is that like halfway through the show? Is that near the end? And then like Jigsaw's
finale,
the big part of season 2?
Well, now keep in mind, if they're continuing with true like Netflix Marvel show fashion, anything in these trailers we're seeing are like first 3 episode material.
It could really be
like that,
because a lot of people are saying like Wilson Fisk is season 2, and I'd fucking love to see that. Vincent D'Onofrio up against John Barathol Punisher? Fuck yes. It looks awesome. And, just the tone of the whole trailer. With Metallica's One playing in the background, which,
which, like, the bullets, the
clips,
like, everything going in.
Well, no.
Syncing up with it.
The bullets line up. When he's fucking gearing up and shit.
Yeah.
Too, like, because when he's putting the bullets in the magazine, and then he puts the magazine in the gun, and then he loads the gun. It's all in time with the song.
Yeah. And in the trailer, he also says, "I'm gonna kill them all."
Yeah,
I'm thinking that's another,
kill them all is a Metallica
reference.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill them all.
And if you're not aware, if you never really paid attention to the lyrics, this Metallica's One is about war and the effects it has on a World War I soldier. And it's very appropriate for the Punisher, who is a Marine. He's been.
I didn't think about the words. I just thought how badass it looked and everything. This is great. But it really does.
There's that one part where it was like darkness imprisoning me. All that I see
he's like
absolute horror.
Nothing.
Yeah,
nothing left to live for.
It's a really appropriate song for this.
Okay. We've said it before. We can say it again. Marvel does a fucking amazing job with their Netflix shows, with their trailers, everything about them.
You said an amazing job with their Netflix shows, as in plural, as in all of them. Luke Cage, pretty good. Okay,
we have a higher win rate than loss rate.
Okay, but Defenders was okay. It was cool, but it was okay. Iron Fist was tolerable.
Iron Fist was the weakest of the shows.
Was tolerable, but flawed as fuck. Luke Cage, great. Awesome.
Yeah,
great.
Jessica Jones, fantastic.
Fuck yes. Daredevil season 1. Season 2 is one of the lower ones. Like, you can pick parts of it out that are like, this is amazing, and then the rest is like, I completely fucking forgot that happened because it wasn't interesting enough.
Yeah, actually, that's actually one of the only ones I've seen so far is Daredevil season 1, and it was awesome. I loved it.
Like you need to binge watch.
You're aware of Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk. That's
I remember. Instead of Instead of who was it? Michael Clark Duncan.
Well,
now I see this other guy.
Yeah, he's a little too dead to reprise the role.
Yeah,
fuck, that was insensitive, but I mean, he is. So
yeah, the Ben Affleck Daredevil was the only one that I had seen. Obviously,
yeah.
Till they brought Daredevil back to the screen.
I mean, we'll keep loaning you.
The new Fisk is pretty
but
good.
You gotta read Shadowland, Daredevil Shadowland.
The new Fisk is also he's 10 times more sophisticated than
Yeah,
Wilson Fisk is a high class.
When I've seen
he got that role perfect.
Yeah,
he nailed it. And my only real experience with him outside of also Jurassic World was Law and Order.
Blew my mind.
Yeah. He was the guy who was like, we should use the Raptors as a weapon.
I recognize him.
Dude,
that.
Full Metal Jacket.
What?
Private Pile.
That's Pyle?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's come a long way.
Yeah. I think he looks totally different. Than he used to.
Same guy.
Wow.
When I first saw Wilson Fisk, I'm like, holy shit, it's Pyle.
He should know. Apparently that headshot didn't take.
Maybe he should clean the rifle and try again.
That was one of my favorite Law and Order shows. Was the one with him on it. So, but no, the show looks fucking great. I mean, we get a better idea of what all the conspiracy entails. We've got CIA involved, FBI, Homeland Security, just all sorts of shit. We can see how him and Micro kind of are gonna get teamed up and stuff, which ties together all that body cam teaser footage we had been seeing. So it was really, really cool. Travis, you had some notes on the music, right? You had some
takes on the Kill 'Em All and all that. I did read a lot of the comments in the YouTube trailer of the Punisher. I read a bunch of the comments at the bottom. And there was this running joke where it plays off the clip in the trailer where he says, "Do you know somebody?" Huh? Yeah, basically. And the bad guy's like,
"Fuck! I wanted to say that, and the show's so bad now."
The bad guy's like, "I'm not sure. I don't know." And he's like, "Fair enough."
No. He's like. Yeah, no, you're about right.
Yeah,
you're.
They're following this basic dialogue, and they keep turning it into a joke in the comments section. It's like he's at a restaurant, and the woman asks, he asks his friend what he wants, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know." He's like, "Fair enough." Shoots his friend at the table.
Yeah. But I love that so much.
It was awesome.
Because there's that one line where they're you hear the commander or whatever say fire at will, and then you hear the Punisher say, "I'd be glad to," or "happy to," or something like that. Yeah. Oh no, be my pleasure. And it was like, oh my god, that's such a great Punisher line. And then the fair enough, because normally in a situation where you got the hero, I use the word hero loosely involving the Punisher, interrogating someone for information, there's usually this drawn out thing. Even in the Thomas Jane Punisher, he does the whole burning the steak, and then he touches him with the popsicle and shit.
He does some ruthless shit, man. In general.
But this Punisher is the Punisher because he's like, who's the fucking guy? And the guy's like, I don't know. He's like, fine. Kills him. It's just dead. He's like, well, he's not gonna tell me. I don't want to do all this shit. So.
I say he has no time to extort an answer out of someone else. You're not gonna tell me up front? Okay, I'll move on to the next guy. Eventually, someone's gonna get tired of seeing me kill people and tell me what I need to know, and then I'll kill them.
And he kills that guy in a hallway full of dude. That guy should have just said it. Not that the Punisher would have let him live, but in that situation where you're not really sure where your fate lies, and you're the only one that's been left alive, and you're being asked a question. At that point, you kind of fucking answer the question. Cause that motherfucker in the goddamn skull body armor just killed all your friends. So, it looks amazing. It's going to be great. I honestly think that this will probably become my favorite. It's got a great shot. I mean, it's my favorite comic book character, and all I've seen so far.
Great too.
Yeah, all I've seen so far is just good.
Well, John Barenthal is doing a fantastic job with the character.
Yeah. Seeing him in Walking Dead and everything, I picture him in The Punisher. I picture him like a little older, a little more mature. Not too old of a fella. I don't know how old he is.
I don't think he necessarily looks old. I think he looks worn.
Weathered.
Yeah,
Well, in Looking for a Friend for the End of the World, Steve Carell movie.
Seeking a Friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He shows up as like a dude who wants like loan or something, and he's like got long hair, and he's like kind of a hippie and stuff. And it's like a real quick thing.
Yeah.
And him and his girlfriend are like, yeah, we're gonna go to a beach and fuck on the
sand. He's not he's not necessarily a household name just yet.
I like seeing him.
We've had him as Shane in The Walking Dead, which I don't think he makes it out of season 2. Yeah.
No, but
it was shit. Sorry, spoilers for The Walking Dead, but it's been around for like 7 years now. So
spoilers.
Yeah. He hasn't been in a poster for like 5 years. So I'm pretty sure you can put together what happened. Well, not exactly what happened, but
yeah.
Anyways, no, he's not a household name yet, but he does seem to pop up in places anymore. Something that keeps popping up in our world right now is The Watchmen. Oh. And that leads us to our next
Who watches them?
Well, apparently HBO has, because they have officially, no rumors here, they have officially announced that they have ordered the pilot for The Watchmen to develop it as a series. Now the one thing that will make most fans cringe at this idea is because The Watchmen has been regarded notoriously as being difficult to film. Because the way the panels are set up, the way the story is told throughout this comic, it was the perfect comic book way to tell the story.
It's almost like a movie looking at those panels.
Yeah, it invented new techniques to tell the story, and so far it's been extremely difficult to adapt that to a visual medium, which is one of the reasons Zack Snyder's movie is so different from the comic, the way you watch it to the way you read it.
Yeah.
Well, there is a special feature even on the Blu-ray where it'll sync up the panels at the bottom of the screen while they're happening in the movie.
Yeah, but it only really works. It only works so many different times. I'm not saying like literally every page of this thing is so fucking unique. I'm just saying it's one of those things that's just different. It's very different. Yeah, he did what he could, and then he did his own thing in certain other areas. But it works. I love the movie. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying that this is one of those things like, holy shit, really? Like a fucking series? Can we do that? Is that possible?
Honestly, I think that it's a better route to go than the movie.
Maybe.
Well, because you got to think, okay, comic book movies that we've gotten outside of the Watchmen, because it's such a different tone, such a different setting, everything about it, and especially taking the comic itself aside, like it's so different from almost anything else. We get these arcs in these stories, like, okay, Spider-Man, we get his origin and a Green Goblin fight and all this. But with this, it's this self-encapsulated story.
We drop into an established universe.
Yeah, like we don't have a setup into anything. We don't have like these origin stories. This is it. This is like what's going on.
We'll revisit the comment, the origin story, because I have a note.
They came later though.
Yeah, we'll revisit that.
But I think a TV show is the best place to like flesh all of that out and utilize those backstories to their advantage. To say this thing goes for 3-4 seasons, they're able to give us more depth into these characters than what we got in the movies. We're able to like know where these characters came from, why they are the way they are, and why the main story is the way it is.
Well, yeah, and one of the things that when I handed the Watchmen off to Dr. T. Neal here is so he could finish his rebirth knowledge, which should have been the first thing I handed him. Like as stupidly started him out with Flashpoint.
As much as I've talked about it, most of my knowledge only comes from me knowing about the novel and what happens in it. But I've seen the movie a billion times.
And the way I set him up for it was like you're in for a lot more stuff. There are so many different scenes that happen in the book that just are not in the movie. You can blame that on time constraints and stuff. A movie has a set amount of time, and even the extended Ultimate Edition, like where I think they had like maybe a couple extra scenes, and then they added all the Black Freighter stuff in. I think it's almost a 3-hour movie. Even then, they didn't have time to tell every single part of this graphic novel. And so I feel like the show could do that.
Yeah.
Because there's this whole part where Rorschach is talking about how he got his mask. When the woman comes in with the special fabric and she wants a dress made out of it and stuff, and then like later she's raped in the middle of this apartment complex, and like nobody calls the cops, and like the people watch it and shit, and then he turns that dress because he was working at this tailor shop. He turns that dress into his mask, and that's what made him decide to be Rorschach. So like there's stuff like that. Maybe we'll get in the show, and it's HBO, so they're not going to shy away from rape.
Well,
they're not going to shy away from anything.
There's nothing too graphic for HBO.
Well, Alan Moore and who's the other guy? Dave Gibbons. Who wrote that?
He did it. Well,
they're not going to have any hand in it.
Alan Moore wrote it. Dave Gibbons did the art.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Alan Moore you won't hear a quote about this from Alan Moore because he's fucking done with all adaptations of any of his work.
Yeah, he did the V for Vendetta. He did League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, From Hell, which is also a movie.
Yep.
And everyone has pretty well butchered his work.
More or less. Except
outside of V for Vendetta was probably the closest
V for Vendetta was pretty damn great. And then Zack Snyder did a good job, as we've said. Yeah. Like, I mean, the movie as a movie is just awesome.
I didn't know that was Zack
Snyder.
But
if you take the movie as a separate entity with grounds based in, like, the Watchmen, like, graphic novel.
Yeah.
We have to state it as that because, it came out in 12 issues, but everyone knows it as the graphic novel, the complete story. Yeah. So that's the grounds for this, but it has its own thing, almost like the MCU, things like
Comparing it based on the comic book, it's a pretty good adaptation. And I think a way better rewrite at the end, where it's Manhattan instead of a random monster from Yeah, well, yeah. I just realized that you hadn't read it.
We've already talked about this. I already knew about it.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't gotten to
but if you look at it as just a movie standing on its own, it's a pretty fucking awesome
movie. Yeah.
But then we've got Before Watchmen, which was a series that came out, I want to say, was it 2014?
No,
it had to have been
earlier than that.
Yeah, at least a little earlier.
Like 2010, bro.
I was gonna say, I want to say it was like around 2010,
maybe. I'm just thinking of like the eras I was buying comics. I was buying Spider-Man.
It was while I was in high school, so it was definitely like 2009.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it was around 2008, 2009, somewhere around there.
Because I remember my friend over the school news that they had. He had to do a skit for it, and he did it as a Rorschach's Journal.
Yeah. And while each different series, because they had a Silk Spectre series, a Minutemen series, they had the Comedian, Dr. Manhattan, Ozymandias, Rorschach, and I think a Night Owl. I think there was a Night Owl series. But they weren't necessarily origin stories either. I know Rorschach's was like, this is a period of time, I think it was still teaming up with Night Owl over the course of this story. Night Owl.
There was a Moloch and a dollar bill.
Yeah, the old.
Oh yeah,
Minutemen.
they did do separate series.
We had Comedian and Rorschach,
and it's Moloch.
Whatever. Minutemen, Dr. Manhattan, Rorschach had his own.
Yeah.
Night Owl, Silk Spectre, Ozymandias, Moloch, Dollar Bill, and that was it.
Yeah.
No.
And now I do know Ozymandias's was an origin story. Well, at least the first issue goes into his origin story.
It should have all started with Hooded Justice because apparently he's the first declared hero in the universe. Yeah. And then the older Night Owl was supposed to be the second one.
Oh really?
Damn.
Yeah. See, I was in the ballpark around because I thought it was around the time I was buying Harley Quinn. Anyways.
Oh, I was thinking of the movie.
Yeah. Anyways, like, would it be sensible for them? Maybe not like the first season is going to be the Before Watchmen stuff, like but like to implement the things from Before Watchmen in the places where they fit. And maybe tell, like, the first few episodes, like, tell the Minutemen story. Like, would it not be sensible to use this because not only do you have plenty to work with in just the 12 issues of The Watchmen, but you have, like, all these other 4-part, 5-part, 6-part series, like, these, like, 7 or 8 different books to work with, too. And they are established continuity. So, and I'm not saying bring in any of the Rebirth stuff.
Right.
You don't have to do that. That's fucking out there. That's way too much.
Well, with it being, is it Damon Lindelof that's going to direct it?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what they said.
I fully trust it because I'm a huge fan of Lost.
What? Okay,
Lost
yeah.
He's a co-creator of Lost.
Yeah.
He even has a blurb on the back of the Watchmen novel. It says, the greatest piece of popular fiction ever produced. He's a huge fan, and he was inspired by Watchmen before he even made Lost. He went on to make a couple other great shows I can't remember right now. But with him being able to do flashbacks and jumping back to he'll come up with a question at the first episode of the series, and then you won't find out the answer to it till like the third season. Be like, oh my gosh.
Well, isn't he the one that made the statement that with The Watchmen being such an influential and critical piece of comic history, he's been so leery to leery to touch this unless he knows that it can be done right, that it can be done justice. And now knowing that, okay, this is officially gotten the green light.
Yeah, and HBO, like Game of Thrones is a great example. They're fine with trusting their showrunners.
Yeah.
And I mean, look at all the money that they pour into HBO alone, or Game of Thrones alone. I'm not saying like Watchmen will get a $10 million per episode budget. But,
yeah, right. Dude,
yeah, but
awesome.
I mean, like they're obviously not afraid and not hurting for the money if they're doing that shit with one show. Like, so I mean, we're talking about a show that'll get a proper budget.
Well, we're talking HBO.
Yeah,
they've been around for
just because you've been around a while, like
everyone's
got their days.
They've successfully been around.
I also hope the casting was really good because
I wanted to see if you guys want to do you want to do fan casting?
See,
I want to try and do some fan casting.
I wouldn't be able to put anyone in any spot.
The ones from the
Jeffrey
movie,
Dean Morgan.
I want Jeffrey Dean Morgan as the comedian.
Ones from the movie.
I'm sure he'll do it.
Looking at their face alongside the panels, it's like this actor was in that fucking book.
And
so good.
Let's go with
Diaz,
the guy who played Chunk in the Goonies for Rorschach because
never seen
fuck
it, right?
Well, no, not fuck it because no, I would have a tough time doing this too. Recasting some of it. Yeah, I don't know.
And it'd be more of a you might get a couple big stars, but
I could see
new stars maybe.
Yeah, you couldn't really pull the movie because I was about to say I could see Jennifer Lawrence as Silk Spectre. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's any number of people you could put in Dr. Manhattan, like Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy would probably be an amazing Dr. Manhattan.
I like the one from the movie so bad. That actor, I've seen him in so many things. Don't know his name, but I really like his acting.
Yeah.
That's Chunk.
Oh. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, that could work. Yeah.
Well, one of the best things they ever did with Superman was casting somebody you don't know so you can believe it's Superman. Yeah. So I could.
Which they've generally kept that.
Yeah.
Like, almost every time they've ever cast Superman, it's someone
Henry Cavill never heard kind of been in a couple movies, I think, but you don't know.
Yeah, I had no idea who he was until he was Superman. Brandon Routh was another casting choice for that. Tom Welling.
Yeah, Tom Welling.
Tom Welling. Dean Cain. Although I think Dean Cain had a little bit of popularity before Adventures of Lois and Clark.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe. Some shows. And
Yeah. Like I think people knew who he was, but he wasn't like huge or anything. That show definitely like.
So giving us new stars for the new Watchmen show, I wouldn't be mad with that either. I just gotta like them enough, you know.
I mean, who knew?
See how it goes.
Sean Bean was like the most notable person in Game of Thrones to bring, because it's their most popular thing, Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So, Sean Bean, everyone knew who the fuck Sean Bean was. All these other people, and now we all fucking love the shit out of them.
Yeah. I mean, Kit Harington kind of had a thing beforehand.
Yeah, okay.
But he was really one of the few. The guy who's missing some fingers and some hands.
Also, I think Peter Dinklage was pretty huge before Game of Thrones even.
I think he had some work. I think some people knew who he was.
I recognized him from Elf, and then
I didn't really recognize him right off the bat.
What else is the Dink in? We haven't got to talk about the Dinkery.
We'll have to do a super Dink episode.
He actually he did the voice for a video game character before they released expansions and redid all of the voicing for his character with someone else.
Oh wow! Yeah, I know him from that.
He voiced the character.
Oh man, he got so famous for that.
He's been
so famous for that thing nobody ever heard.
Knights of Badass.
You're right, Odle.
Pixels.
No, but that's post game.
Pixels, yeah.
That's all.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it is.
I think it was stupid as shit. But
it was. It was so stupid, but I loved it.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
all of this has so much to do with the Watchmen. But yeah, I think we've said all.
Peter Dinklage could totally play the comedian.
I think Night Out. Night Out, that motherfucker.
He'd be a badass comedian, bro.
Oh my god, I would love that.
Yeah, really?
Not even because I take him seriously. Not even like, the little person is like the comedian. No, I would seriously respect him as an actor. That would be awesome. It's getting to a point like the part he had in X-Men. What was it? Apocalypse?
Was
it Days of Future Past?
No, it was Days of Future, not Apocalypse. It was Days of Future Past. I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, he wasn't in Apocalypse.
But that is not a part for a little person. Like in the comics, that character is not a little person. And he's changing roles, because he's so fucking good, you know. Like people are like, oh, fucking Peter Dinklage. I don't care if he's being cast as Andre the Giant. He's so damn good.
Okay,
he'd
so
find a way to make it fucking awesome.
You know what?
Right?
We're gonna redo Luke Cage. Who should we get as the actor? Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage. It's just the hero of Harlem. Why not? He's the Dink.
You know what?
Yeah,
let's redo Big Trouble in Little China. Peter Dinklage.
All parts.
Man.
Every part. It's gonna
Bruce
play.
Campbell was in one. Oh no, not that. I was thinking of Escape from LA. Just some Kurt Russell stuff.
Escape from the Super Dinkerine.
Right.
Welcome to the Dinkerine, bitch. Alright. So,
welcome to the Thunder Dink.
Welcome to the Thunder Dink.
Or the Dinker Dome.
The Dinker Dome. Yes. No. Well. Okay. Now that sounds too much like the Dimsdale Dimmadome.
I'm Doug Dimmadome.
what is it? Dinkleberg.
Yeah. After this episode,
Dinkledale would be rival.
After this episode, like meetings for like making movies and shows, they're gonna be like, we need somebody to come in and work on this, and they come in, they're like, dink it.
Dink it up.
That'll change your movie.
2 words for you. Dink it. Oh, fuck. All right. Well, I think that's as good a place as any to call this one.
Remember.
All right. So, guys, there is a new series shit up, and it came out last week. There'll be another one tomorrow, too. We're honoring the life and creation of Hugh Hefner in that one. But the one that came out last week, I'm just not going to say the title of that one here.
You probably shouldn't.
If you're like directly on our profile on SoundCloud or iTunes, just scroll down. It'll be the one underneath this episode. Yep, check it out. See what that title's all about. Anyways, there's also Alpha's Unboxing finally coming to the YouTube page. It was just going to be a quick, jump cut edit job where, I just like cut it up a bit and put it out there. But then I actually started getting a little creative, and now it's a whole fucking
That's got a theme song.
It's got a theme song. It's got background music from Dr. T. Neal.
Now it's another one of the Sort of My Brand productions.
Yes, it is actually.
I've
moved it up. Now, okay, like these first few episodes are a little rocky, but dude's getting better at it, and we've discussed like ways he can do the show live that won't like be a nightmare for editing and will be more translatable. So give these first few episodes a try. They are good. My editing, like for this type of shit, I'm gonna show you actually. I wish I'd have shown you before we started recording, but I'm gonna show you what I have done. Okay. And I think you'll like it. Anyways, that is coming to the YouTube page, so look forward to that and more original programming in the future once the Sort of My Brand Rebirth Initiative Phase 3 hits.
Woo! By the time this comes out on YouTube, it'll be Phase 6.
So, I don't know where it all ends. It's an ever-changing tapestry. But you guys like this podcast there down below. Leave any comments. Like we said at the top of the show, get involved with the conversation. Let us know what you thought about what we thought about any of the things that other people have thought about. So,
give us a new segment for the show.
Yeah, really. Like, I would love
segment.
to do a comments or questions segment with the people who actually listen to this. Like, even if it's the same 3 people each time. Like,
we don't care.
Right? Yeah, I don't care. 10-minute podcast is Joy from Sydney. Why can't we have our Shane Taylor segment?
Right?
So, guys, again, my name is Vincent Herman, Vin the Human. Sitting to my left,
James Odle, Alphaspecter.
And to my right,
Travis Herman, Dr. T. Neal.
And I think it's time to play that Surface of the Sun outro music.
Let's go. Oh my god.
All right, volume's at 69. Okay.
36.
I just tried to revive something we just had a great laugh about.
Is it on 71 or 69?
This isn't a serious shit. What are we doing?
Okay, which is funny. We need a definitive answer right now. Which is funnier, 71 or 60?
Well, we all get the 71, you know.
Okay, this is not serious. Oh, fuck. I don't even know what I'm going to do with all that. Chop it and put it at the end. I don't know.